behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome you to the June 13th, 2023 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231 Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by a resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 21st, 2022, setting forth the schedule of regular meetings for the year 2022-2023. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall bulletin board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, due to COVID-19, this meeting will be in person and virtual stream via Zoom. Public notice and instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on May 24th, 2023 on the City of Passaic website, www.cityofpassaic.com. Council agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Present.
Councilman Schwartz,
Present.
Councilman Garcia,
Councilman Garcia, can you hear us?
okay, Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
and Councilman
Present.
Monk.
Yeah. That's
Council President Chair.
Yes, thank you. We are 7 to the quorum. May we all please rise, please?
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for allowing us to meet this evening. Lord, we ask you to please guide us in the decision that will take place this evening. In your beloved name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a copy of the agenda, they're certainly available to you on the internet. If you go to the City of Passaic's website, you can get a copy of today's agenda as well as all of the background information that has been distributed by the administration to members of the council. You can see literally everything that the council received is available to you as members of the public. And we encourage you to use the site. I know the mayor is running a few minutes late, but he will be here shortly, I believe. So if, with the council's permission, I'd like to change the format of the meeting to accommodate the mayor, whose presence, of course, is vital. With the council's permission, Roman numeral 5, minutes of April 10, 2023, April 27, May 11, May 23, City Council meetings. Is there a motion? Is there any questions on the minutes as presented by the clerk?
Move it.
Seeing none, there is a move. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, on the minutes.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Chair.
Yes, thank you. Can I jump into ordinances? Susan?
Yes.
I should do, oh, that's very true. Hearing of citizens is Roman numeral 6 on our agenda, with the council's permission. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, excuse me, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. If you are at home or wherever and are following the meeting and would like to comment during this period of the meeting, we would certainly welcome that. The way to do that is to call us, please, at 929-436-2866. That's 929-436-2866. And please enter the meeting ID number 898-9261-2341. That's 898-9261-2341. And please press *9. That will tell us that you would like to speak. We also ask if you would please share with us your name for the record. Is there anyone who would like to address the council at this time?
Yes, Joe Conoscenti, 170 Broadway. Council President, everybody, good evening. My first question here is the 103 steps on 481 Harrison Street. The park on the top of Spruce Street. It used to be a plaque there, a monument there of Griffin Latona. And through the years, it's missing, displaced, not sure. Maybe somebody could give an answer. The park was to remember the brave firefighters who lost their lives in the service of the people of city of Passaic. So, I hope I can get an answer on that one. My next question is, what happened to the aerators at Hodges Pond in Third Ward Park?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you repeat that, please?
The aerators. It's to verify the water.
Fountains at the
Oh,
Hughes Lake.
okay. What
The
happened?
new
to them?
system, yeah, you had a new system put in, and I haven't seen any there working.
I was there on Sunday. They're working.
So my
Sorry.
next question is, the old tennis court on Van Houten Avenue, in front of it, the wall, the property, it needs a lot of cleanup, a lot of work. The lighting in that area at night, you can't see anything over there. The street lighting is poor. And when you go all over to Passaic Avenue, where you have the underpass of the railroad, that's all deteriorating. You've got people take that area all day long, every day. In the wintertime, you have icicles hanging off of there. You got all cracks underneath, the lighting underneath, the lighting on both sides are not working. They're broken, or whatever they are. They're just laying there, doing nothing. I don't know if you can get after the transit or somebody to look into this, make a new area there to clean it up. My next question is, the paint department's been painting street corners, bus stops. When will somebody give out tickets? Because it seems like people are not paying attention that there's yellow lines and you're not supposed to park. They park all the way up to the crosswalks. They park on the corners. Buses and fire trucks can't make turns. And there ain't no tickets given out. I would like to see on Hodges Pond another fountain if it's possible. Because right now we have two fountains. A third one would be nice because during Memorial Day and Veterans Day, you can have the red, white, and blue lights. It might be a good gesture. Outside here by the flagpoles, I don't know. I've been trying to get them put upright. On the left side, you're supposed to have American flag with a POW, and the next pole is supposed to be a state flag, and the third pole you could use for your events. But if you look outside now, you got the American flag in the middle, and you got the. It's supposed to be 150-year, not anniversary anyway. Incorporated. I like to see this stuff changed. My next question I have, at one time, this city had 14 movie theaters. Today we have zero. You're building all these buildings with storefronts and all. Why can't they have a theater? It'd be a good gesture. My last question here is, I would like to know about the North Pulaski Park, 2 East, 14 East Monroe Street. You have a city parking lot, which is deteriorating. It needs paving, needs meters, it needs lighting. You have the park that's behind there that needs a new playground, which a lot of these parks already are getting new playgrounds. So I can't see why they can have a new playground and lighting and cleanup.
Time is up,
Mr.
Council President.
Constantine, I'm sorry, that is
I'm good.
5 minutes, but thank you. Let me see if we can get some answers to some of these questions. Mr. Fernandez, the Griffin Latona plaque, where's that now?
So actually, we're very excited. I know this is one of the mayor's key initiatives. We're working with the fire department. They have all the plaques. The idea is to eventually put paver stones with a brand new plaque for Griffin Latona, where individuals can donate to buy a brick to then be placed. We have the design and everything, and we're kind of working through finalizing the project now so that we can then put it out. The mayor can, talk to the council and put it out to the public to buy the bricks. It's a really cool design. It's the logo of the Passaic Fire Department with the plaque surrounding it. So it's a very nice design to honor those. If you may recall, that was fallow for many years. And under this administration, we were able to redo the 103 steps and completely renovate the entire park. So that is a brand new park with one section carved out specifically for the monument of the 2 firefighters.
Excellent, thank you. You mentioned, for lack of another term, the sprinkler system. You said you didn't see it working, but then you mentioned later that we have 2 and we should have a 3rd. I have to admit, sir, I did
The
see
2
it
different
working.
issues.
I did see it working myself on Sunday, so I don't know.
I'm not talking about the fountain. I'm talking about the aerators are not working. The 2 different issues you
working.
got there.
The aerators are,
They're working.
they're working. We're told that they're not working.
Okay.
The wall by the tennis courts, Mr. Fernandez, lighting, etc. The walls are coming down, or the walls coming
I
down?
don't know which tennis court he's talking about. If he's talking about
The old
Howard.
tennis court, Van Houten.
Howard?
Van Houten,
Oh, the old clay courts?
yes.
Oh, the old clay
All in
courts
the
is a
front.
staging area for our equipment and our
We've been using
materials
it for staging area for quite a while.
for
haven't
many
we?
years until
Yeah.
there could be a different project for it. But right now, all the clay, the leaves, all that stuff to get it out from the streets. And by the way, we have discussed it with Green Acres. We went over the plan, and Green Acres is permissible to allow us to use it as a staging area for equipment and stuff for the park.
Excellent. Very good, thank you. Chief, are we ticketing cars?
Paulson and Broadway all the time. Paulson and Broadway every day. Yeah, every day.
All right, we'll give that a closer look then.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Mr. Fernandez, to the best of your ability, the gentleman mentioned the flag. If it's, could you share with me again, forgive me, you mentioned something about the American
The
flag?
American flag with the POW belongs on the left side.
Okay,
We'll look into it, Council
And the
President.
state flag
if
is
we could, I mean,
next.
this
You will know
is,
that's been like that, preceded probably all
It's
of
wrong.
us on the council. That flag's been like that, but we'll take a look at it.
It's
We'll
wrong.
take a look at it.
in terms of your 7th question was in terms of movie theaters, if there was interest, someone would buy it and establish a theater, but since movie theaters seem to be passing out, I don't think you're going to see anyone who wants to capitalize on that. And that's a question of free market, Mr. Consente. If there are people who want to come in and do something with the approval of the zoning board or the planning board, this council, the administration, at the direction of the mayor, then they'll come in and do it. We certainly would welcome anyone who wants to bring a theater. But in today's world where you can go home and listen, watch any movie that you want to, I've been told that generally it's not going to take you very, very far. North Pulaski Park, Mr. Fernandez, needs lighting, needs work.
So we agree. So 100% that we're very excited about the prospects of North Pulaski Park as well as the rail tracks. The mayor has been extremely vocal about this program. This council, along with the mayor, entered into agreement with the county, Passaic County, and I'm happy to report that the permits were submitted to the DEP. And hopefully by this time next year, you will see construction starting in North Pulaski Park and the rail bridge following with our rail tracks following suit right after it. The parking lot is to be repaved, but talking about staging areas, that's where they're going to put a lot of the equipment to completely renovate the park. Just for everybody's edification, the North Pulaski and bridge is about 12 to 14 million. And our portion of the rail track is about another $12 million. So that's almost $30 million for next year. And the county had already spent another $14 million on the other side of Dundee Island. And this also includes a Pulaski Park extension to renovate portions of Pulaski Park that lead into the rail yard. So this is a very exciting project. The mayor has been very vocal about it and his excitement for it. So hopefully next year we can all be there for the groundbreaking.
And the total cost we're talking about?
The total cost of total, if you count the other one, is probably like almost $45 million total, including the Dundee Island portion that's already been done.
So when we talk about $45 million, where does that come from?
So in this case, this came from the federal government and the state of New Jersey.
So they make available those funds. We have to apply for those funds, don't we?
Correct.
And not everyone who applies gets? Is that the case?
That's 1,000,000% correct. I would like to argue that the mayor and your relationship with those entities really assist us in being competitive in those grants.
Prior to Mayor Laura's term as mayor, I don't remember getting this many grants before, or
Never of this magnitude, I guarantee you that.
okay. But we do need to wait for the grants from the federal government, from the state government, from county, wherever. We can't proceed without the money, correct?
100%. The one beautiful thing about this project and why I said it would be done by next year, it's fully funded, both the city portion and the county portion.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Is there anyone who would like to address the council, please?
There's no one on Zoom, sir.
Yes, please.
Steve Ciclosi, 23 Orchard Street. Couple of questions for you, Council President. Maybe you can help me. First one is
Mr.
item
If you could
number.
speak a little bit louder, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure. The first item is number 35, resolution authorizing a purchase of hardware and software upgrade to the police radio room. My question on that is, I believe it was last month, there was a resolution to spend somewhere around about $1 million on radio equipment. Is this separate from that? And if so, why didn't we combine the two to maybe, get a little bit better deal or whatever? My question is, again, why it appears to be a separate item. So if you can explain that, that would be helpful. Second one is item number 40, design and construction, some DOT local aid, various roadway improvements. If you can explain what we're doing there, what the improvements are, where those improvements are. Same thing with 41. Similar, it seems like a similar thing. We're getting some, perhaps some DOT money, but it just says intersections and improvements. If you can elaborate a little bit more on where those improvements are going to take place and what's involved, that would be helpful. Similarly, number 42. So 40, 41, or 42 on those three, a little bit of explanation. On item number 46, the parking lot improvements here. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that the one I wanted? Let's skip that one for a minute. Item number 47 on the architectural design and construction management services, 69 Jefferson Street. What's that all about? Does that have something to do with the firehouse? I think that's the area with the fire headquarters. I'm not sure. I didn't look up the exact address, but I'm curious what's going on there and why we're doing it. Some explanation on that would be helpful as well. Item number 49, again, safe streets. We're doing something there. I'm especially interested in knowing about Pennington Avenue and Agrig Avenue. What exactly is going to happen there by the old St. Mary's Hospital campus? Because that always seems to be a busy intersection. I know we have some flashing signs there now, but are they going to put a light there? What exactly is going on there? Some explanation would be helpful. Number 55, I see that we're going to get some donation of vehicles. I like the fact that it says donation because that usually means no money involved. But my question is, what are we getting? It says for police use. So what's the intended purpose and why would the borough of East Rutherford offer those vehicles as opposed to perhaps selling them elsewhere? So I want to know, what they are, what they're going to be used for, why we need them, et cetera. And then, let's see. Oh, the last thing I wanted to bring up and ask about is on Main Avenue by the bus stop in the Passaic Park section, actually right by, I think it's in front of or next to the King of Delancey restaurant, there was a crosswalk there. And recently I see that it was taken out and painted over in black. That crosswalk was very helpful for folks exiting the bus and the bus stop there to cross the street. Now I see that it's painted over. So again, why is that being taken away? What's being done? What are we doing to address the crossing situation? Because now instead of people at least trying to cross in the crosswalk, which I think would be better for safety reasons, now you just got people crossing all over the street. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So again, why was that crosswalk taken out? What's the alternative going to be on that? So if you can comment on that as well, that would be helpful. And that's it. Those are my questions for tonight.
Good deal. Thank you, sir. Your first question was on item 35, I believe.
Correct.
$35 is in terms of hardware and software for the police department radio room, Mr. Fernandez?
Yeah, this is for the computers. What was on the last meeting was for the actual equipment. So the last award was for Motorola for their equipment and the repeaters. And then this is for the actual software system. So it's a different company. Motorola doesn't do this. They had to be separate.
Okay.
On 40, 41, 42?
So do you want me to list all the streets? Because they're in the resolution. I mean,
No.
Okay, so
Just a kind of an overview.
I'm sorry, sir. We're answering your question.
So-
No, I don't want to go over the streets, but if you can give us some general, the motivation,
So 41 is roadway improvements, which includes paving of sidewalks and streets. 41 is traffic lights and traffic beacons. Specifically, there's a proposal for a traffic light at Passaic and Acre, traffic beacon on Monroe and Parker, and other sidewalks, intersection improvements, crosswalks, things of that nature is for 41. And then 42 is Myrtle Avenue.
okay, thank you. 46, Mr. Fernandez, a change order.
Yeah, this was we needed a different diameter sewer pipe. Once they got in there, the engineer saw the sewer pipe and they had to increase the diameter of the sewer pipe. So it cost additional funding for the linear footage of the expanded larger pipe.
And 47. By the way, it's amazing that you know all this stuff. 47, please.
47, this one, oh my goodness. The reason this is on here is because we bid this thing out multiple times and we literally had to start from scratch at least on 3 different occasions because the market is so high the numbers were astronomical, what they were coming back at. So the architect had to start from scratch, and we believe now that we have the plan based on the other bids that will get us to the number. This is for the property right next door to the firehouse, and this is for COVID-related items and assistance with clinics and other services like a Passaic Alliance and things like that.
And 49, does that include Pennington and Egg Creek?
It does. This one has a traffic light on Pennington and Egg Creek and a flashing beacon on Hope and Monroe.
Good deal. On 55, why did East Rutherford give us vehicles, and what'd they give us?
So, they were kind enough, they were replacing some of their vehicles. They had 3 vehicles that were in very good shape. There are 3 Ford vehicles that are already fully fitted with all the equipment. So I know that's always the question. They have their lights and everything. I think the only thing we need is Passaic stickers on it, and then we're good to go. So they're police vehicles.
So without wanting to be a psychologist, why'd they give us these vehicles?
So they bought newer vehicles, and they had their fleet is not like ours. They're a very different police department. So we got 2008 Fords that are in really good shape that we could use.
If I'm not mistaken, East Rutherford includes the Meadowlands, which gives them
A lot more money.
tens of millions of dollars, I believe, towards their operating budget.
Police officer is originally from Passaic, and he wanted to donate police cars through his
Good deal.
administration. He's originally a kid from Howe Ave in Passaic, and he still has Passaic in his heart. But he's an East Rutherford cop, and he wanted to donate the cars, 3 cars that we could use for construction jobs, for whatever we might need them.
So the guy you can leave Passaic, but you're still in Passaic always, huh?
Yeah, he has a large family.
Can't
I
take
could say his name. I'm not going to say his name, but he loves Passaic. He still
Please
loves
do see if I can get a car.
2008, it's all yours, Councilman. Mr. Fernandez, the last question of the gentleman was in terms of the crosswalk by Main and Carlton, I think that is.
Yeah.
There was a crosswalk, it's painted over.
So not to correct, but there was no crosswalk. We painted a crosswalk, and then we removed the crosswalk. And it's very simple. It wasn't ADA compliant. There is no curb cuts. It should not have been across that section of the roadway.
So this corrects the problem.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the council? Is there a motion to close public hearing?
Move to close the public.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. We're up to Roman numeral 7 on our agenda, ordinances for second and final reading. Hearing is required. Number 1, proposed ordinance 2398-23, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of Passaic, chapter 295, vehicles and traffic, article 12, schedules, section 32.1, schedule 14, stop intersections, to add additional bus stop at Carlton Place intersection of Spring Street. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2398. If you would like to address this issue and this issue only, now is a good time. Do we have anyone on the,
No, sir.
very good. Yes, sir.
Steve Ciclosi, 23 Orchard. My question on this is, it says an additional, if I'm reading it right, additional stop sign. So refresh my memory. I think there was a question about this at the last meeting, but I, for the life of me, can't remember what, I believe it was Mr. Fernandez helped us out on that. If he could explain what we're doing here again and why, especially when it says additional, so that indicates to me there's already a stop sign there. So what?
Mr. Fernandez.
Yeah, so there wasn't one and we're adding one. There was a traffic study done. It came out that one was necessary and the engineer recommended to put in the stop sign.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Any other questions, please, or statements on proposed ordinance 2398? Seeing none, is there a motion to close public hearing? Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. On the ordinance, please, is there a maker?
So move.
Motion and second on the ordinance.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short, Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. Number two, please. Proposed ordinance number 2399-23, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate numbers. Is there a motion, please, to open public
Council
hearing?
President, if I may, can we just go back to that last ordinance and I can get our attorneys of guidance on, because that is on.
You voted in favor of the ordinance.
did.
Are you asking for reconsideration, sir?
Yes, yes, I am.
Motion to reconsider. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to reconsider. Roll call to reconsider, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Abstention.
For reconsideration, sir, I would ask your affirmative vote.
Yes, yes, sorry, yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. Councilman Love.
Yes.
You asked for reconsideration?
Yes, because that stop sign is on my block. I just wanted to make sure that voting in the affirmative would not affect it.
You may vote.
I may vote. Okay, thank you.
Very good. You're satisfied, Councilman?
Yes, I am.
Very good. Is there, that being the case, is there a motion to accept ordinance number 2398-23? Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please, on 2398.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. We're up to the number two ordinance, second, proposed ordinance 2399-23, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate numbers. Should this pass, there are currently 408 handicapped parking spaces. It would be reduced by 2 to 406. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing? Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call, please, on 2399 hearing.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. On the motion, please, is there a maker?
So move. Second.
Motion and second on the ordinance.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. We're up to the third ordinance now.
Mhm.
Very good. Proposed ordinance 2400-23, an ordinance amending sections 5-5 organization and 5-10 regular meetings of the code of the city of Passaic. Is there a motion, please, to open public hearing?
So-
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2400. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only? Anyone on the screen, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
Very good. Is there a motion, please, to close public discussion?
So move.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, to close.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shield.
Yes, thank you. The ordinance has passed.
No.
Is there a motion on the ordinance, please?
Move.
Motion
Second.
and second on the ordinance.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Short,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, and the ordinance carries. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for making time. I know you were very busy today, and we appreciate your being here.
Thank you.
As we always do. If we could go into, Mayor, with your permission, we'll ask you to give a few words in a few moments.
Sure.
Very good, thank you. We're under communications, Roman numeral 8, items 4 through 10. If we could have a separate vote, please, on number 8. Are there any questions, please, on 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, and 10, excuse me?
Council President, if I may, 8 and 10, we need separate.
8 and 10. Very good, sir. Is there a motion, please, to accept 8 and 10? Motion
Second.
and second on 8 and 10.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Abstention.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, is there a motion to accept?
Council President, also 7, abstention. I'm sorry, separate. Sorry.
Very good. On 4, 5, 6, and 9, is there a motion, please?
So move.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On 7, are there any questions, please, on 7? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 7?
Move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Abstention.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. All matters listed here are considered to be routine in nature. Items 11 through and including 23, accepting 23. So we're speaking, if we may, of 11 through 22. Is there a motion, please, to accept? If there are questions, please, on 11 through
So
22?
move.
If there are no questions, there is a move. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, on items 11 through 22.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. On 23, please, is there a motion to accept?
Move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Abstention.
Councilwoman Mello, Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shear.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor, can we impose on you on hearing your thoughts? No. Generally, your remarks.
It's not specifically facing Councilman Hyde one that's a message of usually will not the individuals out. I do want to share that I recently had 2 boxers from the city of Passaic win prominent fights televised, one in Dubai, in Sri Lanka, and in India, both from Passaic. Eric and y'all, I was with them along with hundreds of kids that trained in boxing and their families on behalf of Passaic, honoring them for 30 years that the gym has made a difference. I want to shout them out and also just explain why we're doing it. And because everyone's names on them and share them briefly on behalf of all of us that they can always count on our full support always very quickly regarding Resolution 51 and the designation for the Aquino family on Jackson Street as Alejandro Papo Aquino Corner for the many years that he was there and changed lives. Then I want to thank you for reaching out, obviously. I would say once or twice, but a number of times, late in the evening, early in the morning, and all different times. But no, thank you for your constant concern for the entire family, as well as the whole family. As I believe my colleagues will agree, that we are always blessed when we have opportunities to honor and recognize those who have made such a commitment, contribution to the success of the great city of Passaic. We don't take these namings lightly. Share for those that listen, we get a number of requests, individuals that come to us and say, hey, my family member is wonderful. Can you name this street, or this person has this award? And we tend to be cognizant of the fact that at the end of someone's story, it's best to acknowledge, as there would possibly be no change to alter the decision of naming a street. I say that delicately, but if I need to be more candid, if you name something too early and something occurs in their life, we know there's a culture now where they remove names as fast as they had put them up initially. And there's something special about reflecting. Obviously, there's a sadness in the loss of individuals that we honor, or those who are at the winter season of their beautiful time here on earth. But there's also something so fitting and special to acknowledge individuals after they have given so much, and people can come together and share firsthand accounts of their experiences with those individuals, and overwhelmingly, their story is always positive. I say that so the community would have perspective and context for these namings. Along with my colleagues, we discuss these namings. We consider how they will reflect on our community, because we want to honor those that not only had impact on our city, but that our children could look up to and say, that's what I would like to emulate and be like this person. Not necessarily because of a specific career, though that is important. Not necessarily because of the amount of success that could possibly be measured or considered in terms of how much money they accumulated, or how many material things they owned, or how many awards or plaques were put on the wall, but rather because, again, I'll reiterate, their impact, because of how many lives they touched. And I wanted to say that because he deserves this honoring and this naming. And it is not a favor that we do. It is a fitting response to a family, an individual that cared so much for Passaic. That wasn't in my reports, but I felt that in my heart watching you guys, so I wanted to share that. With that stated, to our council and our city, I just want to run through these rather quickly, if I may. On May 29th, we had our Memorial Day Parade ceremony, where once again this year, Councilman Schwartz brought out the most comfortable walking shoes. That's my running joke. Running, you get a pun and you get a bad joke early. That's my running joke, because of the year that a few of us came dressed up in nice hard bottom shoes, because we were excited that it was our first parade, and realized by the fifth or sixth block that the wisdom of the councilman to wear sneakers was because that's a long walk. And if you're walking hard bottoms, it may look good for the picture, but there's a lot of pain. And I thank, obviously, our colleagues in the community that came out this year. For the first time, we had our seniors on a float, which was so special. We had veterans who participated. Memorial Day is more of a somber ceremony where we acknowledge those who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation. I want to thank our chief of the police department, Louis Guzman, our chief of the fire department, and all those who came together to make, once again, the parade successful. And I would propose to you perhaps the biggest in our history, and all of the leaders from the communities, educators, and the schools. The children are always such an amazing and remarkable part of these ceremonies, and they were especially so as they played such a big role in this particular march down the city. Also, I want to thank all those that participated in our annual golf outing at the Crystal Springs Resort fundraiser for recreation. This year, we managed to lose less of the golf balls than last year. We spent less time having to look for them. Rick is an avid, I'm a bit familiar with him in terms of referring to him as Rick, because on the golf course, it is yelling and screaming and excitement for anything that goes well, and then the frustration for what's that place called with the sand? Apparently, that's not for lawn chairs and tanning. That's where he called it the beach, and I was like, that's why I spent so much time there, the sand, because I wanted to relax. But it was fun. But more importantly, we raised money for recreation. We came out positive. And that was because of contributions of individuals in our city, leaders, developers wishing to help with our recreation program. So we're always so excited about that. Also, we wanted to share that we have already started our Fridays with City Green Mobile every Friday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in front of City Hall, where families, especially those who attend our WIC, Women and Children program, can double their points to get fresh produce and healthy food for them, and obviously the development of their families and their future babies. This is exciting every Friday, but it's also available for the community. And the money is multiplied because of the deals that they offer, and we get to maximize those opportunities working with our WIC. So we're excited with their participation. June 3rd, Council President and members of the City Council, we had our Father's Day fishing outing at Hughes Lake in Third Ward Memorial Park. We stocked it about 2 or 3 different times, and we put fish in there. I firsthand witnessed it. This size, if I would have caught one, I would have said this big, but they were, that's what you're supposed to say. I found out it's a requirement for fishermen. You have to exaggerate your catch. I always say the only thing I ever catch is whatever I put on the hook for bait, it comes right back out exactly the same. Every now and then I've lost the bait. But the faces of the children as they participate in these programs, and I purposely share them because these events and these activities that we do, whether it's a golf outing or family fairs, are intended to raise funds so we can have fishing outings with fathers and children that may not always have the means to go camping or have that experience, which leads into my initiative that I plan to announce this year, a citywide camp out. Citywide camp out. Not necessarily the best title because it's not intended for everybody to camp out all over the city. One designated area that we're going to have where we're going to invite people to come out with their tents, camp out for the evening. We'll have activities, check out the stars. We're going to fish in the morning, and we're going to give families an opportunity to experience camping right here in the city of Passaic. We've already done the fishing. We'll have little set barbecues and a safe campfire with our chief of the fire department and our firefighters. We've had plenty of practice with fires around Third Ward Memorial Park, supervised flames in an appropriate setting. Those who are familiar with the activity know. So I wanted to share that. As we continue in the updates, we also had our RBI baseball and softball leagues begin. Many know that the baseball field by Benson is being redone with investments that we received through recreation grants. It looks beautiful right next to the new parking lot in front of the animal shelter that's going to provide additional parking spaces for those who go to the park, thus minimizing the volume of traffic that's in the park, which makes it so difficult for those that are trying to walk and those who try to run. We're going to continue with initiatives to try to identify areas where people can park and not necessarily constantly go in and out of the park. It's going to make usage of our parks on the weekend so much better. It's a long-term plan, but little by little, we continue to implement these initiatives. And as of today, we have been able to increase over 700 new parking spaces in the city of Passaic in the last 6 years. That's an exciting thing to share. And we believe we are about a year and a half out of the completion of our parking deck. So we are excited, and we've identified additional opportunities to further bring parking to our city. So we're very excited about that. Beyond that, we also had our Third Ward Memorial Park scavenger hunt activity with our National Get Outdoors Day with clues posted on social media where people had to find landmarks around our city, some historical landmarks like our fountain on Prospect Street that many know, others that perhaps people weren't so familiar with, certain plaques, certain areas in the city, like the 100 Steps, which are redone, or now it's 113. I believe 113. I'm not sure. Woman Mello runs it every morning, so she would know every morning, multiple jogs up and down. As we continue in these, we also have our senior center program dietitian with the Passaic County Department for Senior Services, which will help seniors complete application for food vouchers and Meals on Wheels. I want to highlight our head of our senior program, Francine Wise, and all those that work with recreation, as well as our administrative team, because our seniors have participated in more activities in the past 2 years than I proposed to you they have in a decade. They have gone to musicals, to plays, but one of the things that I feel most proud of is the investment of this legislative body, these council members, in making sure that there is funding and relationships to ensure that every senior has access to food. We take that for granted sometimes. When we talk about our vulnerable populations, we consider children that if they weren't in school, maybe they wouldn't get lunch, but because they get lunch in school, they eat when they're in school. There are seniors on fixed income that don't always have visits from family and may go more than a day or two without food. And because of these investments and the hard work that each of my colleagues put in to make sure that we have these lasting relationships with representatives from the county and the state and the federal government, we have funding to make sure that meals get taken to our seniors, to their homes. And in doing so, there are also wellness checks, because as they knock to provide that meal, they make sure that the senior is okay. So I want to share that as perspective in terms of the importance of these programs. Our recurring events like our blood pressure and screenings are continuing in our WIC program every Wednesday, 1 p.m. through 7:30 p.m. That's every Wednesday, free for the community, as well as our vaccines continue at our WIC every single week. And ladies and gentlemen, during our Thursday, June 15th, Passaic Youth Concert that's coming up, we invite the community to participate. Our summer concerts have begun, and this Thursday will be a very special youth concert. The Passaic school students will put on a special performance in honor of our Passaic 150th anniversary. We don't know everything they're going to bring about. Did you see the head of the council president perk up? What do you mean we don't know? He's not a big fan when they're not prepared and tell you what we're going to expect. The biggest fan of surprises. Listen, we asked him to cover. It's been 150 years. So you can cover music from the 60s, the 50s, the 70s, the 80s. No one here was born in those decades. And then for the rest of you who were born in the 90s and 2000s, you'll enjoy. But all jokes aside, it's going to be a wonderful experience to give it to the youth and let them run a concert and see what they're going to bring about. On June 17th, in partnership with our NAACP, again this year, in a collaborative effort, we will have our Juneteenth celebration. Our Juneteenth celebration, which begins at Third Ward Memorial Park. The activities there will actually begin at City Hall with recognition, with flags, but we're going to get to Third Ward Memorial Park where there will be food, there will be activities, and then it ends at City Hall with a little barbecue in the courtyard and fireworks right here by City Hall. We invite the community to participate in our Juneteenth event. This is now going on our 4th year. In the first year, we designated the first in the state to designate as an official holiday to do a mural. And then after that, we began the tradition of having fireworks. Until now, we're the only ones that are doing fireworks. And if we're not, I'm going to say it anyway. No, I do believe that we are the only ones that do the fireworks. I wanted to share that on Wednesday, June 14th, which is tomorrow, Stone Mountain Passaic Logistics Center groundbreaking event, which represents over $100 million of investment in our old fire site over 30 years ago. Is it over 30 years ago now? 1985. So there was a huge fire downtown that devastated areas of our city, and to see the comeback of our east side, the development, whether you're going down Market Street or South Street, waterfront development, $12 million parts that now belong to the county, and we have investment, seeing the cleanup initiatives, the restaurants, all of the additions. It is a true testament to collaborative efforts through the hard work of so many individuals from federal, state, county, municipal, families, business owners, leaders, and citizens that have over the years come to these meetings and said, let's work together to bring that area back. And I can tell you that it is more than back. It is flourishing. We're excited because our city as a whole continues to flourish. Not perfect, definitely going where we wanted to go for the generations that are coming up after us. As I mentioned before, the renovations to our tennis courts, our Benson parking lot, and our baseball fields continue. Upcoming projects. Our electronic message board will be brought to the Third Ward Park area, right by where our synthetic ice skating rink is. Many are aware that recently our message board, whether it was a result of a storm, perhaps we can speculate, but don't necessarily have any specific evidence, but perhaps something else occurred. The lock ended up broken, and the glass was compromised. But we are, through funding of the health department, able to get resources for an electronic board that we will redirect to have a message board that will make it easier to ensure that residents know what's coming up during the week and make it a little less accessible for individuals to randomly put whatever message they choose to put up. I think there should be order because sometimes people confuse what is of the city or what is a city related activity with anyone who can just come up and say, hey, our annual, you know, Laura Family Barbecue will be at Third Ward, and people go, what is this flyer? Why is it on city bulletins? That's why it's important that we can control the message on behalf of the city. So we're excited about that funding. And then we also have our Main Avenue Covert Safety Improvements, which continue our local aid roadway improvements. All of these, whether I say CDBG, program and grants, community development block grant, or funding from the state, our DOT, our Department of Transportation, I want to make it real simple for everyone, especially for the lay individuals that aren't privy to some of these acronyms or terminologies that we use because we speak government language. Basically, that just means that we apply for funds from agencies and levels of government and say, give us money to fix the streets because we don't want to raise taxes. Give us money to fix the bridge because we can't have that impact directly on the budget. Some have said that is tax money. See, it's everyone's tax money, not just specifically the state, federal tax money, state tax money. And if we don't apply, someone else will apply. Those monies are specific to those projects. So if we apply to fix a bridge, we can't take that money to, let's say, build an ice skating rink or a roller hockey rink. Some people say, oh, why are you fixing another street instead of creating a basketball? We're not allowed to. If you apply for money for infrastructure, must be used for infrastructure. If you apply for money for recreation, must be used for recreation. If you apply for money for safety or public safety grants, must be used for the police. Just briefly so that people have context. And then in design phase by engineering, our Passaic County Community College parking lot and food truck area is coming along. Everyone, not everyone, let me not assume. There is an area down by River Drive going towards the Boverini Stadium where we have the satellite site for Passaic County Community College, where there's a little area, a piece of land. It's a Jack Tatum Way, for those of you who are familiar with figures that are well known in the history of our city who have made it to the highest levels in their profession. I identified that area and said that would be a great place to create additional parking. So I had a study done to see if we can convert that into a parking lot. And that goes right across from Garden State Honda, which they got excited. I had to go and say, and said, hey, more parking for our cars. And we said, no, no, no. We cannot have business there. But what we can do is strategically put a food truck there because we have so much traffic, whether it's the high school kids that walk up and down to go to the stadium, whether it's activities that go to the stadium, or whether it's the students that are going to that satellite site. There's not a cafeteria in that college satellite site. So many of the kids or young adults or older adults continuing their education, they don't have options in terms of a cafeteria or somewhere to eat. So we're going to provide sort of this mobile cafeteria that will be a benefit. It will provide job opportunities for those who are considering that field. And it ties into a new initiative where we are considering our adult with special needs job training program. And we have identified through studies that food trucks become ideal for certain individuals with special needs, such as those who are on the spectrum, and the enclosure of a food truck gives them the security and separation directly from people while allowing them to work in patterns or specific manners that is easier for them to follow in terms of items, inventory, money exchange, and being able to go back and forth. So we're excited to partner up with other organizations and expand our programs for the special need community, which continues to rise. With that stated, I get excited at the opportunities to share these messages. Sometimes they do run a little longer. I understand that, and as professionals, we understand that we have a responsibility to give the information. I can't tell you everything that the city does, but I wanted to tell you so many of the things that are going on, because as we enter into the summer months, you should know the hard work that council members, directors, administration, those who are charged with the responsibility to govern and run this city, the work they put in to ensure that our city is successful. So I want to thank you, Council President, members of the City Council, all of the directors, administration, for all the hard work. And again, to all of the young people that were honored today in the athletic program, I want to thank each and every one of them for representing our city. Thank you. Are there any questions, Council President?
Thank you, Mayor, very much. Questions from the council? Sir, I think you said it.
Okay.
And if I may comment, just the opening of your remarks was just very heartwarming, if I may. With the council's permission, we are up to Roman numeral 9 on our agenda, budget introduction, current year 2023. Number 24, an ordinance to establish to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14. First reading to be considered prior to the budget introduction. Second reading to be set at introduction. This is to be set for adoption at the July 18th meeting. Is there a motion to accept, please?
So moved.
Motion. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion and second on 24. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. We're up to Roman numeral 5, a resolution authorizing the current year 2023 municipal budget to be read by title. I'm informed that it is necessary to read 25 into the record. 25, resolution authorizing the current year 2023 municipal budget to be read by title only, whereas the local budget law NJSA 40A:4-5 allows the municipal budget to be read by title only at a public meeting of the municipal council. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Passaic, with no less than a majority of the full membership concurring that the current year 2023 municipal budget of the City of Passaic shall be read by its title only, and be it further resolved that 3 certified copies of the budget, once approved, shall be transmitted to the Director of the Division of Local Government Services 3 days after approval, and be it further resolved that the budget shall be advertised in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-6, and a public hearing to be held prior to approval in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-8. Are there any questions on the resolution as read? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 25?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call on 25 only, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, on 26, please, introduction of the municipal budget, current year 2023, set for public hearing and adoption on July 18th, 2023. This is as an ordinance.
It's a resolution.
It is simply, it is a resolution. It's a resolution. That being the case, we'll take a vote, please, on 26 for the introduction. Roll call, please, on 26.
You did motion? Need a motion and a second.
Is there a motion on 26?
So moved.
Motion and second. Thank you, ma'am. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shields.
Yes, thank you. What we just did, as everyone on the council and the mayor, of course, and the administration is well aware, if we have said July 18th is the day when the council will have the opportunity to pass the budget. Mr. Fernandez, am I correct?
Yeah, it's to adopt the budget now. What happens, this goes to the state of New Jersey, they review our budget. Hopefully by July 18th, they will have reviewed it. It'll come back to the council for then their final review and adoption.
So the council's responsibility is in fact to review the budget as it does each year. And any comments on the budget to either save for public hearing or to speak with the administration, other members, colleagues of the council, to establish commonality of thought. Yes?
Yeah, yes, Council President. So we have
Very good.
introduced the budget to the council. Now the council has introduced it to the state.
Good deal. Thank you. And just as a note, thank you to yourself and to our finance director and to the whole finance department for the tremendous effort and work that this budget represents, and obviously under the guidance and direction of the mayor. With the council's permission, we're up to resolutions. Roman numeral 10. 27 is a resolution authorizing closed executive session. Susie, do we need closed executive?
No, Council President.
Mr. Fernandez?
No, Council President.
Members of the Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
None at this time, Council.
Members of the council. That being the case, why don't we take 27 off? I have two lights that are on. I don't know if they're on by mistake.
Yeah, no, mine is on.
If I may ask you for your comments, then, Councilman Love.
Yeah, I've just, in the past, and I'm talking a few moons ago, we used to get a breakdown of names and of departments, of individuals and departments. Why was that eliminated? I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, so this is the user-friendly budget the state came up with.
Okay.
I don't know how user-friendly it is, but that's what they call it. And then what we've done is, on the previous one, we've summarized kind of just the overall budget and gave you entire departments versus specific individuals. Especially now with the Daniels law that came out, getting people's names and information becomes a little bit.
Given it, having it out
Daniel's
there.
law requires us to redact personal information of individuals who work in government now.
Okay, so is it possible though, it can be available to us? Maybe we can come view it or whatever, because it does help when you're looking at the budget in its entirely, I'm sorry, in totality, when you're looking at the budget, when you know how many is in a department, what salary ranges are, when you're making those tough decisions on whether we should go with it or not. So if it's made available, I have no problem with coming to our office, right, in City Hall and viewing it.
I would ask, in all due respect, Councilman, that when you do plan to come in, to have a prior conversation with our attorney to make sure that indeed Daniel's law is, as required, is accepted.
Okay.
Council
there
President,
are-
if I may, if
Mayor,
possible, and only for the sake of order, if we can have the request go through the Council President to the clerk, that way we can ensure that the attorney will be present there, and any resource you need, as well as department heads or human resources, will have all information ready that can be seen at the clerk's office, since she is accountable specifically for Daniel's law, and our attorney would advise her. That way the request, and if 2 or 3 council members want to meet easily together, or if it's one individual, it can follow. So if it can go through the council president to the clerk, we'll arrange to make sure the attorney and all the information is present at the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor. I have another light on.
Yeah.
Councilman Monk?
Yeah, this Daniel's law is, what type of information is prohibited?
Daniel's law was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor recently, I think just a few months ago. It was meant to protect certain classes of individuals, specifically within the courts, prosecutors, etc. The law was expanded to include other items as well to protect the privacy of any number of different officials according to their rank and determination.
So a name is not under Daniel's law, right? A name is a name. The name is not.
Council, yes, a name is covered. Forgive me for jumping in. I know our attorney can go into detail. A number of years ago, a prominent judge whose name was publicly shared along with personal information was unfortunately the victim of an individual who looked up through other means and came to their home and shot their child. The laws there were based on protecting the privacy of public employees and public figures in order to ensure that there's a reasonable expectation that you still can have certain amounts of privacy. Individually, council members are privy to that, but in terms of paperwork, Daniel law covers whether we identify their name on paper and hand it to someone as opposed to sharing it with you personally for a specific and appropriate request. We cannot provide a document with their name that the public would be able to Oprah. In specific cases, we refer everything to our attorney who can oversee it, but that was an extreme example of years ago. And as the council president articulated, there are a number of instances where individuals' families and the names and their roles can be used to find out other information once people have access to them.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Councilman Love.
Yeah, so I guess this will more be to the attorney and then to administration. So in the past, as you said, Oprah, Mr. May, it's okay. So in the past, you could Oprah and find out individuals' name by the departments they work in, if they work in public employment, correct? You can't do it any longer.
Yeah. We had things that we could do in the past, such as even ask for addresses, all of that
Just as
information.
most importantly and specifically.
Yeah, so the address part, I'm very clear on, but so even the names at this point now, individuals can't know
Well,
who
the
works.
problem is that if the names are identified in certain circumstances, it leads to finding out where the people actually can be found, and then the protections are overridden. So the names themselves aren't necessarily protected, but we have to take extra measures to make sure that the people's location is protected. And so some of these documents, just having a name can lead people to look up and be able to find someone, which is what we're trying to avoid.
Okay, so I'm like, all right. So I walk in a department, all right, city clerk's office, and I'm having whatever issue with it. I can't request that person's name.
As a citizen,
Yeah.
if you have an interaction with an employee and that becomes a human resource issue in terms of saying the interaction that I had in the service was unsatisfactory, like to speak to a supervisor, you can identify the individual there to do a report. But if I may, if an individual were to say, I want the name of Hector Laura, fine, you can look me up. We're elected officials. They'll find out I'm the mayor, you're the councilman, we have an assemblyman, that's easy. However, let's say a specific employee's name is John Smith.
Mayor, if I may, forgive me if I may interrupt you for just a moment.
Yeah.
My understanding of the law is that it was indeed passed as a result of what you in fact shared.
Yes.
And that was that the child of a judge was killed.
Yes.
Murdered is in fact the appropriate word. So that the bill is designed specifically in terms of address.
Address, okay.
Yeah.
And that's
So
that's
that
what I'm
the
trying to get.
address.
Extra measure is what I was trying to share, Council President, that in terms of this example, very quickly, let's say I just want to get the name of an individual without justification. That's why we vetted through our attorney, through our city clerk, where she obviously knows what we must give out through Oprah, and go through the attorney for judgment, and we'll determine whether we can justify saying your request was a specific or whatever the reason was. If I get a name and then we consider social media, we consider I have a name, I have a job, I can look up the person's name, where they work, where they live, what I find. There's a reasonable expectation that we can protect your information. But if your Oprah request is legal and the clerk states and the attorney justifies that we can give a name, it will be given.
Okay.
It's just we're not going to make common practice of making it so readily available by putting it on paperwork that can be Oprahable when it's not. If we don't put it on paperwork, it doesn't exist. It's not Oprahable.
Okay.
If it exists and it's requested through the attorney and the clerk, they can determine whether it will be given.
Okay, so if I'm following correctly, which I think I am, the city's practice is going to be that they're not going to voluntarily put it out there
When it's not necessary.
when it's not necessary. However, the
I'm sorry, Councilman, to put what out there?
names. names of individuals, employees. However, it's the law or the new law or whatever it is, it doesn't protect the name giving out. It just says the address.
That's correct.
Okay.
To put it plain, if we wanted to honor the clerk's office, we may not necessarily do a certificate that names everyone first and last name so that everyone can see it. We'd say, we want to honor the clerk's office on this paper. We don't need to create that for everyone to see at a public meeting.
Okay.
If we wanted to do that. That's just a very minor example of how a practical decision of something that you don't have to name, we wouldn't. But if by law we're required to provide your name, we will follow the law.
Absolutely. And it makes a lot of sense because it does alleviate that liability, right? Of that chance of having a tragedy, just like you discussed earlier, by just having it out there. So I'm fine with it.
Council President, was that clear, or is there, because you seem to have a question?
I have a concern, Mayor. I believe that the import of the law was in terms of address and not in terms of name.
Yes,
Correct.
that's what I'm saying.
We just stated. It's to protect the, of certain officials, not of everyone.
And how far, it goes as far as the legislature. I don't think it goes below the legislature, does it?
Well, it would protect judges, police officers,
Prosecutors,
a whole
legislators, but
host
not.
of people.
Police officers.
And to give an example, the reason why we don't want to even ask for addresses for anyone is, suppose John Smith is not a police officer today, and we have his address on something, but he's a police officer 5 years from now, and then there's an Oprah request, and then, it makes it impossible to protect that person, and it would require the clerk to somehow figure it out for that at all.
But the bill itself, though, does not include all public officials. It only, no, it goes down to the state level, to the state senate and the assembly, but it does not go further into the counties or the municipalities, if I'm not mistaken.
Council members' addresses are public?
It includes.
Yes, I believe so.
Council President, we would ask that that be considered. I'm going to ask the clerk. I know she's familiar. I believe that it remains public. Council.
Yes, the council, this is for covered persons include former active retired judicial officers, prosecutors, members of law enforcement, and their immediate family members residing in the same household. But it's been difficult to get our hand around all the information because we have to go back to years and years. So we're trying to eliminate all addresses from being given out.
Is that the direction that we received from the state?
We're not getting any clear direction from OPI yet.
So why would we be
Erring on the side of caution because we're not.
So people are registering, and those people, their information have to be redacted. So we're assuming they're property owners. Not everyone is a property owner. Sometimes they're tenants. It can be in code enforcement, rent, any department. So we're just eliminating all addresses from being given out, just so there's not a mistake and we give out someone that is covered.
It's certainly
It's a big task, and we don't have a lot of direction. So this is the best way that.
the state's not giving you direction.
No.
That's such a surprise.
No, Council President, it gets even worse because when you start talking about planning and zoning, we only work in addresses. So then the names become critical in zoning being eliminated. So you have that's the issue, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the letter of the law, you're going to say, it doesn't make sense. Maybe you're going too far. Here's the thing. We don't get in trouble because we didn't give you a name. We don't want to find out later we got in trouble because we did. It's easy for you. The name is still, if you want it, you want Oprah, you want to come in and ask, you have access to it. We're erring on the side of caution until we get clear direction.
My whole comment now was really based on what Daniel's law said, which I believe was, and as you reiterated, address oriented.
Correct.
All the other items I could well understand, and certainly from a human resources and personnel department viewpoint, I'm sure it's much more expansive in other ways. But Daniel's is
about address. But with a name online, you can find someone's address.
Okay. For Councilman Monk?
Yeah, again, I'm very confused here because Councilman Little asked about getting what we've got in the past about names, right? I would imagine that's just getting names on the budget, right? Without any addresses, right? And under the way the law looks like, is it, it's only the addresses where individuals leave?
Sure.
Okay, so my question is, how do we protect police officers when they come to a call and their name is on their badge? The name is on their,
Yes.
Their name is still on the badge.
so why don't we, that should also be crossed off. I mean, how do we, I don't say.
That's a little bit different because that's a
Why?
response to an emergency call and you're dealing with the public in uniform. In uniform, you're identified. If a PO, a patrol enforcement officer, gives someone a ticket, and the person says, "May I have your name?" You have a right to ask that person their name. But do they have the right to say, "We would like your name published for everybody to know who you are"? Do we have a requirement to do so? Do we have a requirement to tell everyone in the city the name of the individual in the role or the role itself? And let's say we have recreation director makes this amount. Are we required to say recreation director, this name and this name makes it, as long as the budget is about the actual salary and the position? Do we have a requirement? There's a preference. We can refer it to the attorney. While this law, which is relatively new in the seriousness of why it was passed, resulted in us considering how do we deal with this in the most cautious way. We definitely don't have this perfectly done.
I said,
We're
but
waiting on the state to
I said,
explain
but
to us
you
what
go
can
to
be done, but I get your
so
question.
if you go to the city of Passaic's website and look up department heads, their names are there.
Yes, the
So
law just came
what's
into
the
effect.
logic of that? It can't be in the budget sheet, but it could be on the website.
It probably could.
What,
Councilman, wait, if we can be candid, it probably could.
It-
We're not saying we're legally required. We're saying we're erring on the side of caution unless it's a requirement. If, let's say, this council said, look, we want the names. We think the names are extremely important. Without the names, we cannot consider the budget. We want the names in a public setting where anyone could have access to the names of every individual in every role. We'll refer to the attorney, the clerk, and if they say yes, legally you will have it. If we do not need to have it now and we withhold it and say it's available to the council members in person while we're assessing the law and considering what's allowed, and if they give us a green light and tell the municipalities you can't, then we can consider opening it. But right now, making the mistake,
So,
I don't know. I'll leave it to the
okay,
attorney.
so
Let me suggest from an interest of lateness of the hour and practicality, perhaps we could, between now and the next meeting, Susie, if you could get further elucidation on the issue, that would be helpful. But right now, with all due respect, I don't think that this is particularly germane right now. And with the council's permission, I'd like to have this conversation at our next meeting. Would that be acceptable?
Fair.
Very good. If we can go back to the agenda, please. We are on resolutions 28 through 58. Questions, please. 28 through 58. Councilman Monk.
yeah, thank you, Council President. The question was asked before. I don't know if it was answered or not. On 35, I have circled here about the hardware and software for the police upgrade. And does that tie into the last contract that we?
No, so this is to upgrade the dispatch and the radio to upgrade the computer system, not specifically just the radio. So there was an issue with like Windows 10 or something like that. It's like, I wish I knew more about them. The actual software needs to be upgraded. Sorry, I forgot the mic is off. The actual software needs to be upgraded to match the state system that's required under the police. And that was supposed to be what this is for. Let me just make sure I'm not missing something. The reason it was two different, because the question before was why is it two different, is because it's a completely separate set of equipment. One has nothing specifically to do with the other than it's the frequency and where the dispatch is coming. So hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, so it's under the NCIC. It's the National Crime Information Center has required this update. We actually got a grant for it through the state, and it's for upgrading the software of the entire radio room.
It's a state mandate, CJS.
And we're working on Windows 7, and they mandate that we be on Windows 10 now.
Right.
And that's a software update that has to be done.
Thank you, thank you. I have one other question, if I may.
Councilman, if you'll bear with me just a moment, there was a grant. How much was the grant for that we received?
The full amount.
The 195, 135.73 entirely was funded
Yeah.
by? Very good. Thank you. Councilman Monk.
Yeah, item 43. Resolution 43, awarding contract for furnishing and delivery of 2 lead paint analyzers.
Yeah,
Uh,
so we used to call them the XRF guns, which were full of radiation. So these are the new ones without radiation, and this is for our health inspectors to inspect houses that are suspected to have lead for young children.
Right, so I have one issue, if I may. It's something we've discussed in the past on different type, when things get bid out, that when the specs are written in a way that you're really knocking everyone else out of the field, and you're really only zeroing in on a specific.
So
And
as you know, that's actually not permitted under the law.
so if I may,
Yeah.
if you look at this spec sheet, if you look at the spec sheet which is attached to the resolution, it has here, it is the intent of the Passaic Health Department to purchase 2 handheld lead paint analyzers. The following specifications must be returned with responses noted at the pages provided. Look at the first item, the weight. First is called handheld. The weight, 298 pounds with battery. Comply, does not comply,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Dimensions, 8.5 inches, 9.5 inches, 2.4 inches.
Yep.
Right, comply.
Uh-huh.
If you go to the website of this company, which I did here with the computers we have,
Yep.
and you look at the specs of this XP,
Yeah, they better comply with all this.
it is exact
Mhm.
in fact, it's not 298 pounds. They left out the period from the website. It's 2.98 pounds, not 298 pounds. Otherwise, it wouldn't be
Well, I think
considered
it's-
held.
I think it's just like.
It wouldn't be held. Maybe it isn't there, maybe it's not in there. So basically, the specs that the health department took is exactly from the website of this specific model, word for word, item by item, straight down.
So what I could tell you from having a lead inspector license, that this is not a standard for just one company. It's a standard for many companies. So you can find other companies with the same. So there are more than one handheld. There's more than one handheld company that can meet these specs. So you're not allowed to write a spec that only one company can meet. So I could tell you that there'll be more than one company that can meet this specification.
I can't say for sure, but I would love to see that other company, because you look how specific, I mean, to the inch, to the 10th of an inch,
Yeah, so
to the
that's actually
100th of
under
an
the law.
ounce.
That's under the law. So the law requires when we test that these specifications are provided within the specs. So it's under the law, what we're allowed to use and not use. Now, the handheld stuff.
My point here is that if you have an item, this says dimensions 8.5 inch, which means if another company has 8.4 inches, a little bit smaller even,
Councilman
Would not
Monk, would
comply.
you want this item to be held for the next council meeting, assuming that it is not an item of extreme
if it could, I
urgency?
would like to see the specs of other companies that meet. Because you look at the website, it's word for word verbatim, straight down. I
Mr.
don't know how that
Fernandez,
could
is
be
it
bid out like that.
excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Fernandez, is it possible that we hold this item? Does it make a critical difference?
No, I mean, we'll just keep using the radiation one.
Well, we're talking about the next
Yeah,
council
just
meeting.
keep using it over there.
Why don't we hold 43 then? Councilman Monk, did you have other issues?
That's it, that's all I have, yeah.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Mello, please.
Yes, sir. I have a question on number 50. I see that we are awarding $104,000 for the library. Has we awarded about 2-3 years ago for the library?
I'm sorry, say that.
The library, I see that we're awarding.
Yeah,
them
but
to
I
fix
missed the last part.
I thought I remember a few years back, we had awarded some type of money for also for them to fix their roofs. Their roof.
Yeah, so there were portions.
Okay.
They were by portions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And will this be finalized, the roof problem? So,
Roofs are never
I
finalized,
really hope so. I really hope so. Yeah.
as this room will testify. Councilman Monk, your light is
I'm
on.
sorry.
Are there any other questions on items 28 through 58? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept items 28 through item 58?
So move it.
Motion, is there a second, please?
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Sher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to number 11, please. Ordinances for introduction and first reading. Number 59, an ordinance amending the designation of restricted parking for disabled persons by New Jersey license plate number. Is there a motion to accept for set down at our next meeting of June 27? Motion. Chair will second for purposes of the vote. Roll call, please.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Sher.
Yes, thank you. Forgive me. I made a mistake. My colleagues, I ask your indulgence, please. On number 43, I was a yes vote. A yes vote entitles me to reconsideration. I'd like to ask for reconsideration on 43 as committed to Councilman Monk. We agreed to hold that resolution for our next meeting, giving Mr. Fernandez some additional time to look it over and provide information. That being the case, I move to reconsider 43 to ask that it be held at this time. Motion and second. Roll call, please, on 43.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Sher.
Yes, and my apologies again to my colleagues and the administration. Number 12, please, payment of bills. Are there any questions on the bills? Seeing no lights at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills as presented?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please, on the bills.
Councilman Monk,
Yes.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Sher.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Fernandez, administrator's report.
None at this time.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor.
Only one. I'm extremely excited to share with the city of Passaic and obviously our council members that Dr. Ellen Ochoa, the very first ever Hispanic astronaut in the world, has accepted my invitation to return back to Passaic and join myself and a specific assemblyman of the 36th legislative district, who I will not identify but will share, has an uncanny resemblance to someone on the dais, along with elected officials. This individual, Dr. Ochoa, who we have a mural named after her, and a school, School 22, Ellen Ochoa School, is returning. I highlight return because she has shown a commitment to have a long-lasting relationships with our students. She will come to share her new book. Leading this initiative will be Mrs. Barker, the principal of Ellen Ochoa School, with a number of dignitaries, our board president, Daniel Rodriguez, our vice president, Judith Sanchez, members of our Board of Education commissioners. I'll take this opportunity and important privilege to highlight Commissioner Avril Morales and Commissioner Leslie Zuniga, both women of Mexican descent. So because Ellen Ochoa, the first Hispanic astronaut in the world, is also of Mexican descent, I think it's important that we considering our diverse city and our demographics, highlight her accomplishments. But here's what I'm extremely excited about. She wrote a book in a new series, STEM series for children. It is called We Are All Scientists. It is a bilingual book. And I'm so excited about the book that I ordered a number of them. And I want to show it to the public. First, I'm going to show it here on camera, but I want to show it to the public and why I'm so excited. I'll show it to some of the council members. I'll make sure each of the council members have copies. This isn't mayor's reading hour, so I won't go through it. But I do want to say that as you consider the images in the book, have you considered the different faces and the children in some of her books, some in wheelchairs, some obviously depicting different challenges around our city, diverse representation. Some of the pages say, do you know what a physicist is? Do you know what a chemist is? Do you know that science, it's all around you? It's a wonderful series by the first ever Hispanic astronaut to engage and pique the interest of children in crucial developmental years that they may pursue careers potentially in science, math, engineering, technology, not in that order, it's STEM, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And what I wanted to share is that she's coming here to Passaic again. She'll read a little bit of the book. Some of the kids will get to ask her some questions, and we're very excited to have her once again in Passaic. She has committed that as the series continue, we'll make sure to have the books. I requested from our Passaic Board of Education, our school district council president, if they would add the book to the curriculum, and they have agreed. They went through it. So now the book will be part of the curriculum for age appropriate children, the STEM book, where you see the faces of individuals reflective of some of the faces in our own city, whether it's different abilities, different backgrounds, different cultures, but all united. And I was so excited about this effort and that she is going to return here. And we're excited to donate a number of books to the Ellen Ochoa School that day so kids can take the books home. Again, they are bilingual. Council President, we will have her read some of the book and some of our children read the bilingual part. I think it's going to be an exciting program. We'll make sure that all of the representatives are here. It will be led again by the principal of our Ellen Ochoa School, who I want to say publicly, I admire her leadership, her efforts, her contribution to our community, her specific focus on children with special needs. Many of you know that I have been adamant about the expansion of special needs programs in our communities, especially those who face language barriers. And I have not shied away from saying that we fall short of all that we should and could be doing to make sure that every parent has access to all of the available resources in the state. And I can tell you that that if you put up Ms. Barker next to any principal in the state, I propose in the United States of America, you will be hard to find someone who is so committed to make sure that every child and every student gets every possibility to succeed and has access to every resource. That's why I was adamant that she gets to lead. I don't always give up the opportunity to lead on initiatives, but I am proud to hand it over and say you lead it because she deserves it and she's a great advocate for the children of our schools. Our superintendent, Sandra Diordanet Montañez, was present at a meeting today with the individuals that will help us coordinate. And obviously I was in conversations with our assemblymen to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's and that the event will be of huge success appropriate to all levels of government. That is my report, my very exciting final report. I'm so excited. I think I've read it like 4 times. To be fair, you can get through the book in 2 minutes, but I am excited about reading it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We all look forward to the visit of Ochoa. From the council, any comments at this time? Councilwoman Miller, please.
Yes, well, since we're talking about book authors, just want to publicly congratulate our deputy mayor, Dr. Edwin Garcia. He actually published his first book. My book bag is heavier than yours. Passaic, born and raised, and became a doctor. And we just want to make sure to congratulate him because, like Dr. Elena Ochoa, of Hispanic descent, him and he's in the city of Passaic raising his kids and currently a principal. So that is something that we would like to recognize. So
You can't get through his book in 2 minutes. We ordered it. You
No,
can't. It's a lot of
it's a
pages.
little bit more. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's something to highlight. And also, you were mentioning that Ms. Barker. Ms. Barker is also principal, but she was born and raised here in the city of Passaic. So Passaic is definitely given some great products. So congratulations to all of them.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other member of the council wish? Seeing no lights at this
Council
time.
President, before we end,
Mr. Mayor?
I think, and I know that you were on this, but we may not have a chance. I think we want to congratulate the graduates. I think they graduate next week. Our Passaic High School graduation will be next week, and we want to congratulate all of the graduates from Passaic High School at our graduation ceremony. Will be Thursday. I believe it's June 23rd or 22nd. June 22nd, Thursday. One of those days. They graduate next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Unless there's further objection, is there a motion, please, to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. Roll call to adjourn, please.
Yes.
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 Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Shay.
Yes, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.